Hello, people. Now let us continue our discussion in the chapter of deadlocks. It is about deadlock prevention. Now, as we have previously discussed, there are four deadlock handling methods, right? So they were prevention, right? Avoidance, detection and recovery, and then ignorance from the deadlock. Now, out of these four deadlock handling methods, the most preferable method for an operating system will be always prevention, right? So we always say that, and even I said in the previous video that prevention is the key, right? So prevention is always better than cure. So operating system here will think of preventing the deadlock first. Now preventing the deadlock, the solution even we have identified in the previous video, the solution was the prevention of deadlock can be done with the violation of, right, any one of the four necessary conditions of deadlock, right? The four necessary conditions which are listed here on the first slide itself, right? So if we are in a position to actually violate, right, any one of these condition, deadlock will be easily prevented, because application of the deadlock is not the single step process. It is a combination of four different scenarios that should exist in your operating system, which are again listed on here itself on the first slide. If they exist, right, mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, right, circular wait. If they exist, then only the deadlock is getting applicable onto the operating system. But, right, prevention will be very simple, right? So if the operating system could violate any one single, right, condition amongst this all, right, it will be very easy to prevent the deadlock. So now let us learn the deadlock prevention in detail. So let us start. See, the first thing is mutual exclusion violation, right? Mutual exclusion violation, is it really possible? To violate the mutual exclusion, we need to make the devices shareable, right? So let us say all the devices all the time have the working behavior that they are independently doing their work. And even in operating system, as we know that if it is a single processor system, it executes one process at a time. So what is happening? See, mutually exclusively inside the operating system, all the works are happening. So many examples we have already seen related to the mutually exclusive way of behaving of the operating system. Now in mutual exclusion violation, right, the question is, can we violate the mutual exclusion? So the answer is no. We cannot violate the mutual exclusion, because it is the hardware property of. So let us say one example with the help of printer. So if we are giving the command print to the printer, right, so what is happening there? One process is taking a charge of one page, and the pages are printed one after other. So one work is happening at a time. So what is this property is? This property is mutually exclusive behavior of the processes. So mutual exclusion violation is not possible. So here, really sorry that deadlock prevention will not be possible. Now, no, not a problem. We have four different conditions. So mutual exclusion violation is not possible. So let us go for next condition. So let us see whether we can violate that condition, second condition, or not. So as we know that the second condition was hold and wait, right? So what does the hold and wait condition for deadlock was? The process is holding a resource, right, and still waiting for another resource to be acquired. And in previous video itself I said you that the process should not actually expect more. What resource it has, right, as we have seen about the system model, right, in previous videos, that request a resource, right, use that resource and release that resource. So this is a request to process by even the operating system. And now what the process is doing in this second condition, hold and wait, it is holding one resource already and waiting for another resource. So it is like greed. So it should not be there, but as it is there, because of that only the deadlocks are happening inside the operating system. So but not a problem. Now here in this video, our priority is to violate any one condition amongst these four conditions. So we have seen that mutual exclusion we cannot violate. Now let us think about violating hold and wait, right? So can we violate the hold and wait? Yes. The answer is yes. We can violate the hold and wait condition. So we are actually using three different methods for hold and wait violation, right? The first approach is known as conservative approach. So what we are doing here, process is allowed to start the execution if and only if it has acquired all the resources. So what we are telling to the process, you are holding one resource, right, waiting for another resource, second resource. Right, don't worry about second, we will give you third resource, fourth resource, fifth resource if they are there, right? Let you grab all the resources with you, right, and then start your execution. So that what will happen, guys, over here, see, waiting will not be there, no, and because of waiting only the deadlocks are happening. Rather with the simple wait and with the continuous wait, hold and wait and circular wait, these are two critical scenarios for us inside the deadlock, right? So for hold and wait, conservative approach, right? Process is allowed to start execution if and only if it has acquired all the resources. We will say to the process, be happy with all the resources, but don't wait. If you are waiting, operating system will be in a burden. But see, guys, this is a less efficient and non-implementable method. It is easy to implement, but it is practically not used. So another approach is do not hold, right? So process will acquire only desired resources, but before making any fresh request, it must release all the resources that it currently holds. So this is a healthier environment for operating system, because here in do not hold, it is actually utilizing the system model. So what does it is doing, right? Before making, so the process will always have a resource, that is for sure. Process will always have a resource. Now that particular resource will be used and released, right? And see, guys, this is the most efficient and implementable method, because it is actually following the system model. Now the last method we can also use, that is known as wait timeouts, right? So what we are doing over here, we place a maximum time up to which a process can wait, after which the process must release all the holding resources and exit. Because in previous cases we have not applied a time bound on the process, so what will happen, hold and wait will be controlled, and here ultimately with this wait timeouts we could violate successfully hold and wait. So yes, here we are successful in preventing the operating system for going into deadlock. So let us not be happy with this hold and wait only violation, right? Let us go for the third method. So third method was, no preemption, right? So no preemption violation. So no preemption violation will do what? It will forcefully preempt, right? So forcefully preemption, as we have already knowing from scheduling algorithms, right? So in preemptive type of scheduling algorithms, we are even aware that how we are doing preemption amongst the process. So it is, a context switching, as we know. So no preemption is a forceful preemption, right? So we allow a process to forcefully preempt the resource holded by other processes. How it will happen, guys? It will happen, right? So if a higher priority process is coming, right? So higher priority process will come and it will forcefully preempt that resource. So no preemption violation will be more or simpler than the hold and wait. The process which are in the waiting state must be selected as a victim instead of process in the running state. So what is this? The processes are holding the resource. This is the obvious scenario. The running process might be holding the resources, right? The waiting process might be holding the resources, right? So in forceful preemption, right, we are selecting the waiting process. Let the running process which are holding the resources, let them run that particular resource. Let them run, because running can be a more priority than waiting. So here the process which are in the waiting state must be selected as a victim instead of the process which are in the running state. I hope you are understanding now. Right? So moving for the next condition violation. So it is a circular wait violation, right? So it is a little bit different, circular wait violation, wherein circular wait can be eliminated by giving the natural number of every resource. Because in circular wait, as we know that the processes are, let us say there are 4 processes, we have taken them, right, with the previous example, and in that case we have not assigned them, guys, the numbering, and even not assigned the numbering to the resources, right? We were just saying that first is waiting for second, waiting for third, fourth, and then fourth is waiting for first, right? But here we are assigning the number to every resource. So let us say we are taking one function wherein the numbering is given n to every resource. So allow every process to be either only in the increasing order or in the decreasing order of the resource number. So what will happen? We are aware here that, for example, we have 10 resources, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So what will happen? What we will do to the 10th resource? We will not connect the 10th resource and the associated process with the first process, so that the circle will be break, right? So here break the chain, right? So circular wait will be easily violated. If a process require a lesser number, right, then it must release all the resources, right, larger than the required number, and vice versa is even true. If the process require larger number, then it must release all the resources with smaller than the required number. It's very simple, because we are here interested in breaking the chain. The last process should not get connected with the first process, and with a sequential numbering, guys, it will easily happen. So I hope you are understanding. So this is how we have learned about deadlock prevention. Right. Thank you.